folks, Jim here from Mystery and Mayhem. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel, as the case may be. Today I'll be talking bookshelf essentials. Now, the bookshelf essential was created by David Wiley over on his channel, and I'll post his channel below so you can go check out his videos. I talked to David months ago to do a buddy read for Robert A. Heinlein's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, and I haven't talked to David since. So David, if you're listening, I haven't forgotten. As far as I know, we're still on for the buddy read in May, and hopefully we'll have other people join us in that buddy read. So yeah, I wanted to talk today about Robert E. Howard. Now, Robert E. Howard, anyone who's read him and who Robert E. Howard is their favorite author, I mean, it's a very, that enjoyment of Robert E. Howard and that love of his fiction and his characters is a very visceral and heartfelt and personal thing. If you talk to Michael K. Vaughan or Roy Reads Anything, multiple other people who are a fan of, who are a reader of Robert E. Howard, I think they'll agree with me on that score. I mean, I've been reading Robert E. Howard since I was 14 years old, and collecting his books since I was 14 years old. And like a lot of other people, it started with the Conan comic book. Now, that's when I first became aware of the character of Conan. And Robert E. Howard was kind of, didn't know much about him. I just knew him as the writer of the Conan character. And from the comics, it led on for me to the Ace paperbacks. Now, the Ace paperbacks are reprints of the Lancer paperbacks, but I personally started reading Conan in these Ace paperback editions. Now, even so, I was aware of who Robert E. Howard was, and of course, Elsbreg de Camp always had an introduction telling who Robert E. Howard was, but there was never that real attachment to the writer at this point. Now, not until I went to the store. I went to the mall, Sheridan Mall in Mississauga years ago. I was 14, 15 years old. That's about the time. And I went into Cole's bookstore, and I saw this very copy on the shelves. Now, all I saw when I looked at this book was Conan in big letters. And I neglected to see that it said by the creator of Conan. I just saw Conan, and I saw this Conan-like character on the cover, and I said, "Wow, that's a different copy. I'm gonna buy that and take that home." And it wasn't until I got it home that I realized that these aren't Conan stories. And initially, I was a little disappointed, but I decided to read the stories, and the stories included in this are The Grey God Passes, A Thunder of Trumpets, Marches of Valhalla, Sea Curse, Out of the Deep, The Thunder Rider, For the Love of Barbara Allen, and The Valley of the Lost. Now, after I read probably, a paragraph or two in of The Grey God Passes, I was hooked at that point. And I tore through this book. And it was at that point that I realized I'd run into a writer that was very special. And I immediately went out and I tried to get the rest of this series. Now, these were, I think, 16 books in the Berkeley Medallion series. 3 of them were Conan novels, and the rest were just an example of his other writings. He was a pulp writer from the 30s, and he wrote adventure, western, fantasy, detective novels, detective stories, and I snagged them all. I bought them all, and it all started really with this book. My love of the writer and of his characters, and these Berkeley Medallion books are just beautiful, and they're the pride of my collection. And I would give everything else up in my library, in my collection, just to keep them. If I had to give anything up, it would be everything else but that, but these 16 books. and I've got multiple copies here, and of course, you know, I've got multiple copies of the same book. And these Berkeley Medallion books all had fold-out posters in them, which was also another selling point. I mean, these were beautiful, beautiful paintings by Ken Kelly. You know, if I could show you that without the glare. Now these paintings that Ken Kelly did, I don't think I've ever seen him ever do anything as good as these covers he did for Berkeley Medallion. And I have kind of a theory about that. I think that, you know, he was friends with Frank Frazetta. Somehow he was involved with Frank Frazetta as a family member or just a friend. And I have a feeling that Frank Frazetta had a lot of input into these covers. Now, this is just my own theory. This isn't anything that I've read anywhere or you know, taken from somebody else. But I believe that, you know, Frank Frazetta had input into these. I mean, they're very Frazetta-ish. The figures are very fluid, very rounded, very just full of action and life, you know. And you see later Ken Kelly work, and the figures are very stiff, and the colors are much more garish, you know. But with these, all of these Berkeley Medallion covers, I will show you some more. They just seem very different than his other work. So I just have a feeling that there was input from Frazetta on these, because they're brilliant covers, so well done. And my favorite character, probably, the series is the Alborak series and the Kirby O'Donnell stories. I mean, they're desert adventure, and they don't really have any weird supernatural menace. They're just awesome adventure stories. But that particular book, that Marches of Valhalla, that's my bookshelf essential. I mean, pretty much the whole series is, but that particular book is one, you know, I still have the very one that I bought off the shelf, and it's one that is a bookshelf essential to me. And most of my Robert E. Howard books are bookshelf essentials. I mean, from that point, I read Robert E. Howard anywhere I could get him. I collected. I actively went out to buy his books and collect his books through mail order, through you know, going to the bookstores, the used bookstores, and I mean, to this day, he's always the first author I look for when I go to a used bookstore. When I open up like a books app, I punch in Robert E. Howard to see what's available, you know, and I mean, it gets harder and harder as time goes by to buy, you know, the early Robert E. Howard books, because now people are more aware, and he's a very collectible author, and you know, it's tough when you don't have a lot of money to spend on books when this is your hobby, and anybody who does this knows that it does cost a lot of money to be a book collector. So yeah, that's I wanted to share that with you. That's my bookshelf essential, thanks to David Wiley. And yeah, I just wanted to do that real quick video to share that with you, and share those beautiful Berkeley Medallion books with you. I've got more of his. There was these series that came out with Robert E. Howard stories, and also the Bane books. And again, that's Ken Kelly cover on all of these. But again, never as good as those Berkeley Medallion ones. I know it was only about the one book, The Marches of Valhalla, but as I said, every one of my Robert E. Howard books are bookshelf essentials. You know, books by Robert E. Howard or about Robert E. Howard. I've got two biographies on my shelf. One questionable by L. Sprague de Camp and his wife, which just threw out a whole bunch of untruths about Robert E. Howard, and then the one by Mark Finn, which is much more true to who Robert E. Howard was. And yeah, and eventually I'm going to go through them all, and I'll show those to you as well. But I just wanted to show that one to you real quick. And I hope you guys are doing awesome on this Friday, and I hope you all have a great weekend. You take care. I'll talk to you soon. Keep reading.